Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Advisor Tech Unplugged podcast. My name's Tess Lee. I'm Managing Director of Money Info, and today I am joined by Rob Tedder, who is the UK Account Manager for Conquest Planning. Get that right, Tess? And I'm actually quite impressed that I'm joined by Rob on the eve of his 40th birthday. So happy birthday for tomorrow, Rob. And how
Thank
are
you
you?
very much.
How's things?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good to be here. Yeah, everything's really good, really busy, really positive, and obviously looking forward to a fun weekend of
Exactly.
celebrations.
Lovely. We're recording this on a Friday afternoon, so always a good time to have a natter, and you'll be on your way to your 40th celebrations, I'm sure, as soon as we're done, hopefully, maybe, if you're lucky.
Hopefully.
So look, just to kick us off today, tell us a little bit about you, about where you've got to where you are today, your kind of career to date within financial planning and financial services technology.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've kind of taken a possibly a slightly less traditional route than others. Maybe I started off doing a food degree at university, which then evolved into working in pensions admin. But the real kind of core of that started with power planning. So I was a power planner in Bath for a financial planning firm. Probably about 14 years worth of doing that, and then fancied a change. So went into sales and success with I4C. So I4C being another cash flow planning tool, which then became part of IntelliFlow Planning.
Yep.
And then that's evolved into me becoming account manager UK for Conquest. So I've been with Conquest around about a year now. So it's massively exciting. Just it helps me kind of get my passion for financial plans across. I think helping advisors, helping businesses in engage with technology and get it kind of improving their efficiencies in the business and getting clients access to plans. It's just something I feel massively passionate about from being a power planner, seeing it used with clients, seeing advisors using it. So yeah, it's really important to me to sort of keep that journey going for clients.
I love that you did a food degree and you say a less traditional. I don't think that's uncommon. I was talking to Abraham Okasoya from Timeline the other day, and he did his degree in agriculture, and he's now in this stuff. And I did mine in archaeology, and now I'm in financial services tech. And you did food, and it's brilliant. There are lots of us that I think kind of did what we loved at uni, maybe, and then kind of ended up kind of finding our way through into financial services and ultimately fintech. So it's brilliant to hear somebody else who's got a random degree that's probably, not terribly
Yeah.
relevant for what they do today, but it's all about that experience, isn't it, I guess? And you are really passionate about financial planning and how technology can improve that process. And I know you've been in this sphere for quite some time. So how have you seen it kind of change over the years that you've been involved, and in particular, the impact that technology's had on that financial planning process?
Yeah, I mean it's been a massive change, to be honest, because when I first started back in my kind of trainee days and admin days and things, the idea of giving a client a cash flow model or a financial plan or even talking about financial planning was almost non-existent to an extent. It's evolved over that period of time to become people creating things on a spreadsheet through to being off-the-shelf technology and becoming this all-engaging, all-encompassing process that you take a client through.
Mm.
Um, I think technology's evolved so well and it can keep going so much further, but it's evolved so well to make that as efficient as, or try and keep it as efficient as possible, but really give the client the knowledge to make informed decisions. And I think that's the crucial part. I think nobody comes to their financial advisor and says, I've got this goal, I've got that goal, I've got this idea of what I want to do. It's all about having the tools to be able to bring that conversation out. And I think it's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I was going to say the same thing. Most people just probably come thinking, I know I need to put more away. I don't
Yeah.
quite know why or how, but I know I should be saving more. And actually, the ability to articulate those goals and bring them out of people and that kind of life planning,
Yeah.
I guess, is a game changer for most clients, right?
Yeah, definitely. Anybody needs a plan, whether they're kind of the average Joe on the street through to kind of the high net worth, ultra high net worth clients. Everyone's got an end game, but it all starts with that initial kind of seed of what should I be doing? No one really knows. Like even now, I have it with my mum. She's like, I don't know how much money I've got, how much money I need to spend, what I can afford to
Yeah.
spend. And I take her on that journey myself to say, well, you can do this, you can afford to spend, a bit more. You can shop at Ocado rather than Aldi or wherever.
Yeah.
It's that kind of if you want a holiday, go and have a holiday. It's identifying the small things to clients that matter and actually showing them the art of the possible. And that might be in that accumulation early stage to show, well, put 3% into your pension, 4%, 5%, 6%. This is the impact it has. You know, get involved in the plan, take ownership of the plan early on, and this is the impact it can have later on as you start to progress and accumulate that pot of money, so that when you get to that point when you want to retire and everything else, not even just retirement, it's through business owners selling. There's all sorts of different avenues it can open, and it's just about identifying the route that the client sort of wants to take or is thinking about taking and giving them the idea to progress it. And it is huge, like the impact it can have on people's lives. There's so many clients I've seen it sort of change their life with
Yeah.
accountancy partners where they've said they've gone in thinking they have to negotiate higher pay packages, and they've come back with saying, I'm now doing 3 days for the same amount because I've prioritized a lifestyle over the business, but actually they get better output. And it's not just about money, it's about the whole bigger picture stuff. And it's for the advisor to bring that out and have that conversation is a true skill. Like, it is a massive skill to be able to do that. And I think the industry is transitioning that way. Everybody's talking about financial well-being. Everyone's talking about wellness and planning. Life architecture, whatever you want to call it. It's about that kind of evolving plan, and people are going to get left behind, I think, if they don't start thinking in that way.
Yeah,
The
because
true differentiator is adopting the technology to tell that story and not just kind of focus on the products and
how
the
does
advice.
conquest planning kind of support that process? Tell us a little bit about the tech and how it supports that process, and how you're perhaps a little bit different from any other sort of tools that we see out there.
Yeah, I mean, Conquest Planning is has evolved from we're a Canadian company at heart. We've evolved through our founders were involved with Naviplan and have started and come back to the industry basically with Conquest to say we need to do things differently. We need to do things more efficiently. So um, only 8% of the UK, I think, have actually got access to a financial plan or a financial advisor. I think which is bonkers. So,
Yeah.
they've seen the UK as being a target market. Financial planning is established. There's already incumbent technology doing this already, but the way that we're different is we use something called SAM. SAM is our strategic advice manager, which is kind of like an intelligent assistant, which takes a lot of the heavy lifting away from the user, which means that they can build the plan without having to be an expert. They can build the plan quicker, more efficiently, because they're not having to navigate around multiple screens. They're not having to work out kind of what changes on the inputs to make. So the actual build itself is quicker, and they can focus on the conversation. They can focus on the engagement with the client, the interaction, the questioning, and it gives the user, in theory, the confidence to be able to have a live real-time conversation, which enables those decisions to happen quicker. It enables that visibility and that sort of transparency in the plan to give the client the ideas of what to do. So, we focus on goals, we focus on guided financial planning, and it's kind of evolved from there. So it's in terms of how we're different, I suppose we're trying to remove that trial and error sense of, build a scenario, what does the graph look like? Build another one, see what it looks like now, to say, well, Sam will analyze all that data for you. It will make the changes and just simply make it more efficient for you.
And it uses like AI, doesn't it, to kind of reprioritize as you build that plan, the different elements that could slot into that, and then you can drop them in and see the impact of that. So that's quite
Exactly.
innovative. And a
Exactly.
real
Yes.
use case for AI in financial services. And we've heard a lot about it over years, haven't we? And everyone's like scratching their heads thinking, how does that really apply? But you found a genuine use case for using AI within that planning process.
Exactly. Yeah. So Conquest Planning it's an AI expert system. So we essentially analyze all the data up front for the user. So we're presenting the next best strategy for the client each time. Not necessarily the one that's going to have the biggest impact on value or give them the most money. It's the one that's got the best relevance to their situation. So we outline kind of what their preferences are. So whether it's save more, spend less, retire later, downsize the house, legacy planning, IHT planning, whatever it might be, we rank and prioritize those strategies in line with the client. But the beauty of it is that we've already run the data, run the numbers to say, well, if you save into your ISAs, you will have a 10% uplift on your situation, or your financial well-being will move from fair to outstanding, or whatever it might be. We're avoiding the need to kind of just trial and error it and manipulate the data yourself, to actually just, we're a powerful engine that can do all that heavy lifting for you. And it's huge. I think that like you said, the power of AI within financial services is massive. I think it's absolutely going to be more than just a marketing tool. It's going to be, you know, interaction with clients. It's going to be guiding them through building their own plans. It's going to be telling them the value of plans. It's going to be assisting the advisor to build it. It's assisting them to create the financial planning outputs, the reports, everything else that goes along with it. It can do all that stuff.
Mm.
And we've got some really exciting stuff coming, which I can't mention, but it's including sort of further AI stuff.
Go on, let us have
I'd
an
love to.
exclusive.
Let's just
Oh,
call it. Yeah, it's huge. Like it will basically just create the outputs and guide the user through the whole experience.
and
And
is your view on this that, there's a lot of talk about robo and AI and technology. Our view at Money Info is that technology is brilliant, but it's never going to replace an advisor or planner, because the best of technology is when you dovetail it with a human, right? And you
yeah,
have the empathy and the relationship building and the judgment that humans have, complemented by technology. And is your tech is designed for the advisor to be used to build the plan, to support them in building the plan, but also to use with advisor with the client as part of that conversation?
yeah, it's a combination, I suppose. We're definitely not positioning ourselves to try and be a robo advisor. There is that hybrid of the client can control part of it, the advisor can control part of it, but coming together, they can control and create something much more powerful as that one process. And robo technology is never going to replace the human element to the advisor. There always needs to be, I think, a conversation, a uh, drawing out those goals from the client, understanding what they need, and putting that empathetic approach into it. And then the data, the technology itself can analyze the data, can take away that's the power in that process. It's speeding that process up. So the evolution of the financial planning role or the advisor role or kind of whatever people badge themselves as will be supported by the technology and made it quicker and easier to either service more clients, have better conversations with clients, draw more information out of them, and just generally provide that kind of wider service. And it can be done through self-directed approaches to start off with, where clients can onboard themselves, they play with themselves, play with their own kind of financial plans. It can then to lead into kind of that advised approach where they've kind of got an idea of roughly what they want,
Mm.
but then it kind of leads into let's look at the detail of how we're going to get you to that end destination. It's all about plotting the path and how they get there. So it's huge, but it's never going to replace the advisor and the human element.
And how do you find the adoption from, because advisors adopting technology is always a challenge, right?
Yeah.
And for a long time, technology was seen as a bit of a barrier with advisors, particularly when they're dealing with clients. How have you kind of overcome that? I guess you're delivering technology that advisors kind of want to use in their process, but do you find adoption with advisors and planners a bit of a challenge still? What's your kind of view on that?
Yeah, I think you could insert any type of technology into the financial advice industry, and everyone will have the same sort of comment of adoption is hard because from the advisor perspective, the power planner, whoever's using it, it's about the time it takes to learn it. It's about the time it takes to feel confident using it, how they're going to use it. And it's about establishing that kind of consistent client proposition, um, and how that then gets sort of delivered to them. So, the biggest barriers to adoption for us are um, it's that sort of change of habits. It's that change of we've always used it and done it this way, therefore we're going to carry on. But the
Yeah.
actual conversation is being limited because they're not willing, they're potentially not willing to expand their environment and the way they work. Where actually, you know, it will lead to better conversations and it just simply massively improves the whole proposition and the way that clients think. And I think out the box solutions are either overly complex, overly simple. Everyone's got an opinion about technology these days, and it's about kind of the almost business leaders saying, this is the way we're doing it. You need to adopt this technology. You need to invest the time in it. You need to learn it. And this will improve revenue. This will improve the business, will grow significantly. Clients will be happier. You'll get better retention and everything there. And it will be huge. It's just say you've got a firm of 10 advisors, three will use one provider, four will use another, and five won't do it. No, that's not bad. That's not good maths, is it? Three will not do anything at all.
From somebody, yeah, in planning
I know,
calculations.
I know, right? That's a
I'd
bad
have got
look.
that
Can't
wrong
even
as
count
well,
to
don't
10.
worry.
Can't even count to 10. But yeah, it's just such a mix of tech that's being used. I think it needs to just be standardized and needs to be just one one item or one technology that can integrate and can be used across the client journey, so they get that kind of consistency of approach and that consistency of what the outcome is. I think that's the crucial thing is they need to understand what the end game is. They need to understand what actions they're taking along the way, and they need to understand what the value is. And value is probably a word that people are sick of hearing alongside consumer duty and everything else that's going on. To be able to demonstrate that is massive, and it's not just this plan is bigger than that plan because we've made some changes. It's okay, well, I've enabled you to spend more money. Your estate is bigger. You've saved tax. You've got a retirement buffer past your life expectancy. There's so many different aspects of value that can be demonstrated. To not engage with this technology, financial planning, cash flow modeling, whatever you want to call it, is a massive kind of gap in a business. Everybody put their hand up. You could sit in a room and ask who's using cash flow planning technology. Everyone will put their hand up. And then you start drilling into how they're using it, and you get into some are using PDF reports and they're only giving clients static outputs. Some
Yeah.
are using it just purely as a compliance tool. Some are using it live. Some are using it live with some clients, all clients, and it varies hugely. My goal, which there's other people I know that share this, is to get every client with a live financial plan which they can interact with and they understand the output. Um, and it's that kind of trying to get that differentiating factor across to advisors that it's not using the software, it's how you use it and how you interact with your clients.
And how are you finding that client engagement? Because you're bringing the client into that process, both with the advisor, but you've also got your kind of sandbox area where clients can tinker with their plan and they can do a bit of what if and they can change things around. What sort of interaction and engagement are you getting with that right now amongst clients?
So it will vary because it varies depending on which clients are given access. I think there's a reluctance in terms of giving clients the access and the visibility sometimes to be able to play with their plan because there's a
My
fear, I
clients
think,
are all of an older generation. They won't use technology. Heard that one a few times. Or
all the time,
they're all
all the
high net
time.
worth. They're not interested in tech. Yes, they are.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
they,
Yeah.
they are. Like I always reference, as soon as someone says that to me, I just reference my nan. She was 85 using her iPad. She was online all the time, bombarding people with Facebook messages and all sorts of stuff. And she
Exactly.
loved it. So the fact that people are older, actually, they've embraced it, possibly because they've got more time to actually
Yeah.
deal with this technology. And that then leads into fears with some of the advisors to say, well, but these clients are going to have too much time. They're going to be looking at their plan too much. They're going to be thinking about it. They're going to be questioning me. But from my point of view, that's a good thing because
Yeah.
you're getting more engagement in the plan. You're interacting with them the more. You should be.
And if you
Um,
can make that interaction digital, right, you can ease the
yeah,
burden on people because they're not getting tons of phone calls. They've got the ability to interact digitally through you, through portal, to kind
yeah,
of, make that it's real value for the client, isn't it? A real peace of mind. And effectively, they've got 24/7 access to their financial plan and
yeah.
to their financial planner. And that is hugely valued by clients. And it doesn't mean you're going to get interrupted every 5 minutes with questions from your client, because actually you can mitigate that with the information you deliver out to the client, right?
Exactly, exactly. And actually, it gives them that point of almost self-serve interaction where if they are playing around in the sandbox, what they might have done originally was phone you up to say, what if I do this? What if I do that? Or I'm thinking of doing this, which might be sell a rental property. It might be put some more money into a pension. In theory, if they can do some simple things like that where they can see the value instantly, they're more likely to phone you up and say, look, I've been playing around with this. Can you just kind of, ratify my understanding of what's happening? That
Yeah.
they're engaged, they're owning it, and they're progressing it themselves. So it's giving you a natural touch point where they're coming to you rather than you going to them saying, is there anything you want to talk about? You know, you'll be doing that anyway, but it gives that extra level of kind of digital interaction. And they don't want to send you an email and a week later they get a response. They want to be able to log on and get a real-time answer to the questions they're thinking about at that point in time because everybody's lives are busy. So they want to kind of think, you're thinking about something and you think, right, I need to do this. So you want to go and do it. You don't want to be thinking about, down the road I'll get an answer and we'll then have a meeting and then we'll do this and do that. So it advances and actually speeds up the business cycle and actually speeds up the business process, which is massive because you get the revenue in quicker and everything else that goes with it.
Efficiency is driving through off the back of it, don't you? And
Yeah.
and so at the one end, we've got our older clients who are engaging with the technology. A big challenge for a lot of firms is how to connect with our next generation of clients and how we
Yep.
bring those into the process and we start to deal with them in ways that they expect. And is that a challenge that you're helping advisor businesses face as well, that ability to connect with their next generation of clients?
Yeah, definitely. I think if a business isn't interacting with multi generations of clients, then they're absolutely missing a trick. Some firms I've spoken to sort of say, well, the sons and daughters of our clients, they'll get that wealth eventually, therefore they'll become a client at that point. It's like, well, no, they should be a client now
They won't
because
necessarily though either, will they?
no,
Because they're of a different generation and a different, they're not just going to go to dad's advisor down the road. They're going to get on Google. They're going to be listening to their peers. So I think that for me is a don't assume that, because I think
Yep.
there was some stats out when there a few years ago that, when wealth passes on to the next generation, 60% of them will sack their mom or dad's advisor and they'll go elsewhere. So that's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just trying to think of that stat and actually what
Yeah,
number it was. So well,
I'm right on
thank,
it. It's 60%, I think. I can't remember
yeah,
who came out
even
with that, but it's certainly, there's been some research around it, hasn't there?
yeah, definitely. It was all millennials that will sack their parents' advisor because they simply haven't got a relationship. And you know, it's all about, like I said, it's that lower level kind of even, pension contributions, protection planning, mortgage planning, all that sort of stuff. If you can get those younger clients engaged in that stuff now, they will more likely have that relationship so they can just inherit the wealth and remain that client. There's, I think it was 3 trillion, it's probably a higher figure now of
Yeah,
intergenerational wealth to be transferred
yeah,
over the next sort of 30 years, I think it was. So that's a huge number. And you need to be engaging with these clients. And our view is very much, you can take our system. You can give access to clients that can build their plans. You can take a version where plug it into your website and a self-directed kind of route. Clients
yeah,
can build their own plan and they can look to see the outcome of simple changes like save more, spend more, spend more. That's going to be the other way around, but spend less, retire. When can you do these certain things? Do I need protection? And they start thinking about it, and then there is decent business to be had around some of these lower value clients, and
yeah.
and it's all about maintaining that relationship and getting in early so that you don't become one of those 60% of advisors that do get sacked. I think that's
And
the
then you
crucial
get the
thing.
opportunity to support that client through the entire life
Yeah.
cycle as they hit those milestones that we all do, whether it's buying a house or starting a family, or
Yep.
starting your own business, or right the way through to retirement. That's the big opportunity for firms if they invest early in connecting with that generation, right? They're going to get that payoff
Yep.
for a long time once they've built that relationship.
Yeah. Well, client retention is where the money's at, isn't it? Like, it's where the business value is that ongoing, you know, renewal business that's there year on year. In the retention and the stickiness of those clients is only going to increase the value of your business because everybody at some point is going to want to exit. They're going to sell their books, they're going to sell their businesses, whatever it might be. And it's about having those great relationships that if they've been a client for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, some of them, they're going to stick with you because they've invested in this plan that they've built from when they were in their 20s or whatever through to now in their 50s or approaching retirement. And they know almost no plan is written in stone, but it's the idea of you're reviewing it constantly to make sure that they know the impact on certain events or the impact of things happening and the decisions they're making so that there's no shocks along the way. They
Yeah.
understand exactly where you're taking them and
Well, they
they've
can model
invested
for the
in.
shocks along the way, right? They can
Yeah,
model
exactly.
the market crashes. They can see what impact that might have on their
Yep.
plan. And I think you're right. It's that peace of mind, isn't it? Well, nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. But
Yep.
if you've got yourself organized, your finances are organized, you've got a plan, and you can model for different things that might happen, that's a huge peace of mind, isn't it? For
Yeah.
huge value for clients.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got stress testing in Conquest that um, we have this idea of proactive and reactive strategies. So very simply, it's a case of have you got that sort of fear factor of the future? Well, maybe a proactive strategy to change something now gives you that peace of mind, that sort of sleep at night factor to do
Yeah.
something about it so that you're not worried. Or
Uh,
we have the reactive to say, well, okay, well, you're not worried about it now. You'll deal with it when it comes. So the reactive idea is you'll reduce spending, you'll downsize the house, you'll do X, Y, Z to be able to deal with it. And the engine will start to suggest. So Sam, our intelligent assistant, will suggest ways that you can improve it. And it's just that visibility. That's all that's needed to be able to have, good conversations with clients and, keep them on, keep them happy, keep them
I guess
aware.
that taps into how people are different in terms of behaviors, doesn't it?
Yep.
Some of us want to plan ahead and be proactive, but some of us will just think, I'll deal with that when I get there. It's not,
Yep.
it's that, I guess, the risk we're prepared to take, and whether that's quite interesting that you can handle those different behaviors in people as well as just setting goals and, doing the planning off the back of it.
Yeah, you don't get an out the box plan, do you? Every client is different, and that's almost the beauty of this profession is that every client that you deal with is going to have a different story, a different destination, and how they're going to
Yeah.
get there is completely different. But you need to be able to adapt to what that story is, how you're going to tell it essentially, how you're going to bring out the relevant parts of their journey, and how they're going to deal with it. And that's the crucial thing. They will engage and interact and own their plan, which just leads to so much better. We used to have conversations with clients where this is historically kind of 20, 10, 15 years ago or so, where you'd go to a meeting with a valuation and the values had dropped. So you're worrying about this meeting. And then the whole evolution of the planning cycle was we're now going with cash flow financial plans where it doesn't matter because they've had that stress test to say, well, if it drops, you're not going to worry about it,
Yeah.
or you can cope with it regardless. And they understand. So it just makes the whole dynamic of the meeting completely different. And I think that's where people need to be able to have those sorts of conversations and truly differentiate themselves from kind of the old style advice and products and kind of just its pensions, its ISAs to they're just a mechanism, they're just an idea of how we're going to get you to your 20 grand a year holidays, round the world trips, whatever it might be. So it's, I'm hugely passionate about it. And I try and kind of bring that through to every advisor that I speak to in the business this is how you can transform the way that you're speaking to clients. And loads are doing it already, which is amazing, but there's so many still that can still improve that sort of style of conversation, which is just practice and conversation and confidence to keep sort of delivering that
That
similar kind of story each
confidence,
time.
I mean, that's half the challenge with technology, isn't it? Is getting people confident to use it and getting people confident in how it works. And particularly if they're going to put stuff in front of clients. And we know
Yeah,
that money info as well. It's about, there's quite often a bit of a cultural shift in a business if it's new to what they do, but it is all about building that confidence in actually, I know how this works. I'm
yeah.
comfortable with what my client's seeing. And now I'm going to use it as a tool to support my conversations rather than as something that I see as a little bit scary because, I don't quite understand it.
Yeah, and that comes down to almost like a graduation process of how you present the plan to the client. So not everybody's going to jump straight in and go live. They're going to go. Some will start with a PDF. We have I call it a funky PowerPoint. It's like a pre-built, almost digital presentation that you can take a client through, where it's a structured way of telling the story, which then leads you into now you're going to do it on a screen live, taking them through the graphs, the tables, whatever you want to show them and how you want to present it. But by the end of it, they understand exactly what value they're getting and what benefit they're getting from that
Mm.
conversation. And it doesn't have to be overnight. You don't have to just flick the switch and be like, oh, I need to be a financial planner that presents everything live. I think every advisor is a financial planner now. It's just the way that they're presenting it. I don't. Everybody's got a plan. It's just the way you position it and the way you position yourselves potentially.
And being able to engage at your pace, I guess, so that
Yeah,
you actually get to where you want to be. So look,
definitely.
we're heading towards the end of our sort of time now. So where just one final question and then we'll kind of wrap up. But in terms of the direction of travel here, where do you see advisor tech kind of going in the future now? You've obviously got some big plans at Conquest Planning. So there'll be some stuff coming, I'm sure, that we'll hear about at the right time. But where do you feel the direction of travel is with advisor tech right now?
Um, it's a really difficult question, I think. I mean, it's exciting where it could go. I think the opportunities out there, we've already touched on AI and how that can improve, but
Yeah.
everybody is kind of enhancing their tech and adding in cool, funky features and things. And I think we all need to work better together. I think
Yeah.
to everybody will always talk about integrations and how people can work and make them better and get technology working better. That's kind of it's been an age-old problem. It's a continuing problem and it needs to keep getting better. But
But
I
it's
think it,
becoming more important, isn't it? Because you're in that best of breed space, right? I
yep,
guess we are, and our view is that firms have a real appetite for best of breed technologies that are connected together as a tech stack and ecosystem to support their business. And that's
yep,
not just technologies within financial services, it's other tech they might be using, whether it's project management stuff or appointment booking stuff or whatever it happens to be. They don't want to just be constrained by one piece of big technology that tries to do everything but doesn't do everything well. So I
yep,
think that integration, and I think we're all having conversations, that those of us that are in that space, to try and make that uh, journey better for advisors and clients as they navigate through. And I think we've got some bits right, but I
yep.
agree there's more that we could be doing.
Yeah, and the potential if everyone talks to each other as efficiently as possible is huge to get end-to-end processes where clients almost don't leave one system. They have the same consistent experience all the way through. That's the end goal.
Yeah.
And I think it's out there. I think we're getting there. Almost every call I go on to, I hear that phrase. You said best of breed. That comes up pretty much all the time. Of I've done this, I've done that in the past. I've used these different systems. I'm now looking for the best. I want the best systems that are out there.
Yeah. And I want
And
flexibility to bring in
yeah,
technology to my business at the point that I need it and to,
yeah,
as my business grows. I don't want to be constrained by a big oil tanker piece of tech that
yeah,
tries to, to be a one size fits all, which is
yeah.
never going to be brilliant, is it?
Agility is the crucial thing. Is being able to
Yeah.
adapt to systems, processes, other people that you work with, all that kind of stuff. And that's hugely important, to be able to be nimble and adapt to different needs, basically. So
brilliant. Couldn't agree more. What a point to finish on. So before we end today's podcast, give us an idea of where our listeners can find you online if they want to get in touch and find out more about what you do and Conquest Planning and the brilliant tools that you offer. Where should they go?
yeah, so if you go to www.conquestplanning.co.uk, you'll see a load of information, demos, features, the whole story of how we started, and there'll be a contact page on there which will take you through to get in touch with us. So yeah,
I
look
love
forward
that.
to it.
Actually, I have to say, I looked on your website and I loved your whiteboard. You've got a picture of your, was it 2018 whiteboard where it all began? And I think
Yeah,
that's really nice. It just shows, how far you've come, but also what we all do in tech. And it is all about that whiteboard, isn't it? For those ideas and get
yeah,
everybody excited and passionate about it. So I thought that was brilliant. So have
definitely.
a read of the story on Conquest Planning if you do go to their website. It's really interesting. Rob, thank you so much for joining me today. I've really enjoyed having a natter with you on a Friday afternoon. I hope you have a fabulous birthday weekend and upcoming holiday as well, and enjoy hitting the big 4-0.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You're welcome. Thanks, Rob. Take care.
Thank you.